What? Huh? This video will be an ultimate guide for Sacred Sword ZACIAN, currently still one of the strongest Pokemon in the entire game. It's a melee attack all-rounder, so based on physical attack, it does absolutely zero special attack damage, and it can go either top path, bot path, or central area. All of those are totally fine. It's one of the strongest early game Pokemon in the entire game when it comes to stats, and you want to make sure that this early game goes smoothly, and you're going to try to be very aggressive with it. Just looking at this Pokemon, it looks pretty straightforward, but I'm going to tell you that ZACIAN has a lot of things going on that you probably don't even know about, and that's why it's also so strong. It has so many just things you had no idea it even does in all the moves. Unite move in Sacred Sword, in the passive, in the auto attacks that are just ridiculous, and I will of course talk about all of those. For head items, you don't have a lot of options because Rusted Sword allows ZACIAN to only have 2 head items. This is completely useless, pretty much just blocks the spot, you can't get rid of it. This Pokemon can only have 2 head items. For those, I'm currently running Scope Lens and Muscle Band. You can also run Scope Lens and Razor Claw. And Muscle Band I do like a lot as well though for the attack speed. Muscle Band Rapid Fire Scarf is also totally fine build, but Scope Lens kind of feels required just because this Pokemon has insane crits. It actually gets 5% crit rate on level 2 already, and then gets 15% crit rate on level 5. So with Scope Lens, you have 21% crit rate on level 5. That's exactly why it's such a just insanely strong Pokemon early on into the game as well. For battle item, we will always pretty much go for eject button. Full heal, X attack, and Shedinja are also totally fine items to take, but eject button has very nice combos with either Sacred Sword or even the Unite move as well, which I will talk about later. And then for emblems, of course, either we go for the 6 white, 6 brown, minus special attack, focusing on attack and HP, just a very standard page. We can also go for crit. Again, the crits on this Pokemon are ridiculous, so we can also go for something like this. There's a 6 brown, 6 white. There's 8 crit emblems in it. If you guys have golden ones, also something I can for sure recommend. Honestly, I don't even know where to start because there's so much I will have to talk about. So let's start first with basic attacks, alright? So ZACIAN, every basic attack does a few different things. He has multiple stages which are indicated by these blue things under his HP bar. The first one only does damage, the second one slows, the third one heals, and the fourth one is a dash that also reduces the cooldowns of ZACIAN. You can see it's actually quite a decent amount of dash. You're gonna fly towards your opponent. And yeah, that's pretty much for the basic attacks, but there's more to it. So now we talk about ZACIAN's passive. When we have Eos Energy, I'm gonna fill up right here, you can see at the bottom, we can use our scoring button to fill Eos Energy into our sword, like this. You can see there's now a yellow bar, and this shows our duration. We can get 8, 12, or 15 points into it, which will make your duration longer. This passive empowers all of our auto attacks to do max percentage damage as well. And it also gives us a complete reset of one of our moves. So let's say a quick attack right here, and just to showcase quick attack is a dash on level 1. You just dash towards the target. Very straightforward. If you press it once and empower it, you can see we get an extra quick attack right here. And this one no stuns as well, so they have extra effects, and they're also for free. They're pretty much like Serena. When you get to your passive, 3 basic attacks or whatever that fits under Serena, you get a free version of one of your moves that are empowered, and this one is also completely empowered. And for basic attacks as well, I'm gonna just fill it up again, like this. Your basic attacks for this entire duration will do max HP damage. The first one 3% max HP damage, the next one 4, and then 5, and then 5. So this is what ZACIAN does so much basic attack damage as well. You can see, of course, currently it's like 3,900 or 4,900. That's because the target dummy, of course, has a lot of HP. And again, it's max HP damage, so it's very strong against tanks as well. It just melts through tanks like butter as well, as long as you have your thing charged up. Often you will just go for like a quick like this. You always have to. This is very important for this Pokemon, which I will talk about later on as well, especially when we talk over gameplay, when I go over gameplay, how important it is to keep up your Eos Energy throughout the entire game. Eos Energy management is very important because just tapping it one time removes 8 Eos Energy, and you get an empowered version of that move. For the other move on level 1 or level 3, we have Slash, which will be your last hitting tool in lane. If you go for last hitting, just point and click damage, does a crazy amount of damage early game. You can also empower it, it does 797 damage right now. We press one time onto the passive, and then now it does 1307 damage, and also has bigger AoE. And the empowered version also slows. So you can already see there's a lot going on. I don't know if I can show it because I do a lot of damage right here, but the empowered version of Slash auto stun. So you can really see it, like it slows, I mean, by 60%. You can already see that just on the basic moves, you already get a lot of things. You can even get a stun, as I mentioned. And I will showcase this very fast right now. I'm going to use quick attack like this. I'm going to activate my Eos energy, and you can see you get a complete reset. And while this is going on in the background, the cooldown of quick attack will also still recharge. So for early game as well, just like a quick tip, right? To do a lot of damage, you try to get some Eos energy after your first last hit, and you're just going to go in, all in, you do slash, into empowered, into slash, keep basic attacking, and pretty much nothing can fight you towards the early game. This is also very important. You cannot activate your passive while being on top of a goal, because obviously we start scoring, right? So outside of a goal, you can do this, right? Obviously, but as soon as you go into a goal, you will be able to start scoring. So when you go for a goal dive and you want to reset your abilities, make sure that you do it before you run onto the goal. And you also can't do it by being stunned. So in case you're stunned, you obviously can't use any abilities, and that also counts towards your passive. So on level 5, again, this guide is for Sacred Sword, not Metal Claw. Metal Claw is nothing I want to talk about in this video. It's all about the Sacred Sword playstyle. I'm gonna pick it right here. Sacred Sword spawns a circle around ZACIAN. It does damage one time, and then after a short amount of time, it does more slashes. So I'm gonna do some coolness right here. So you can see right here. And this does a billion things. Like, I'm not even kidding. This move just has everything packed into it. First, we take less damage and we get unstoppable by casting it. And then afterwards, it stuns as well, right? It stuns. This also slows first, right? This hit right here, the first hit you do, slows. So during the first part of this move, we get a slow, damage reduction, and unstoppable, and also some damage. And then after hitting an opponent with these slashes, ZACIAN will start ignoring enemy defense stats and also gains extra attack damage. And that's what's so ridiculous about this Pokemon. And I'm not even joking. If you look at the move description right here, this is literally what it looks like. Right here, you can see the text of ZACIAN's Sacred Sword is ridiculous. Again, slowing, unstoppable, and then you also take reduced damage. Then you stun them after a while. You get increased attack damage, 20% for 3 seconds. And then also your moves and basic attacks ignore Pokemon defense stats on top of it. So, or like not ignore, but ignore some of it. So pretty insane. And then we can also empower it, of course. We can empower everything, all of our abilities with our, passive. So we empower it right here. And then we can empower Sacred Sword, which also stuns after a certain amount of time. And also much earlier. If I can show it right now, maybe like next to each other. But so this is a normal Sacred Sword, and this is a faster one. And you can see, I mean, it's hard to showcase, but the empowered Sacred Sword stuns even faster as well. On level 7, we have 2 options. This video will mainly be about agility, but I'm also gonna, of course, talk about play rough. Agility will be the one that gets featured in later gameplay, though, for sure. So agility right here is a dash that gives ZACIAN move speed, and it slowly decays over time, and we just get slower the longer we don't do anything about it. But there's a way of making it last longer by just basic attacking or taking damage. So as long as you basic attack, you increase the agility duration. And yeah, you can see on the bottom right, there's a max as well of how often you can keep it up, and at some point it will be gone. So it's a great way to just save someone down, right? It lasts a very long time. It just allows ZACIAN, to be able to either kite, chase, or just disengage as well. The move speed is super interesting. And then for the empowered version, which is also super strong, which also makes it probably better than play rough sometimes, is that it gives you a shield, which makes ZACIAN even tankier in fights. Using this shield can be huge, and resetting for agility is a very strong play as well. Of course, you mainly still want to use it for Sacred Sword for the insane damage output it does, but using your passive on agility is also totally fine. Now for play rough very fast, it doesn't sound bad on paper either, and it's also very good ability because it combines with Sacred Sword quite nice. We jump forward and we stun the first target that we connect towards. Just pretty straightforward. And we're gonna kind of jump through the target a bit as well. But it's a very long stun. You can see play rough into Sacred Sword can keep someone stunned for quite a long time as well. Only promise, it feels a bit clunky, I have to say. I don't know why, but agility just feels a lot smoother. It's probably because, again, you're kind of stuck on your opponent for a while, right? Like, you can't really do anything about that. But again, it's good, doesn't matter what. And then the empowered version is AoE. So now every single target that is, in the play rough gets stunned as well, which is also very strong. Just a big AoE stun is also quite powerful. Also, ZACIAN takes less damage during this dash. During this dash, we take, I think 25% less damage as well. On level 9, we pick up the Unite move, which is one of the strongest last-hitting tools in the entire game because it just does a ridiculous amount of damage. It really just does. So what it works is you have to hold down your R button and charge it up, and you have 3 stages, or 4 stages even, of where you can be and how much damage you will be doing. If you cancel it and don't even use it, you can see it goes back to 70%. So I have to do it right now first again. So If we do a max rotation one, you can see it's gonna just have an insane animation and does a crazy amount of damage, 4,300 right here against the target dummy just on level 9, which is a lot of damage. If you do it just a bit, you know, the first version of it, like this, you can see now it does 2,000. And now we do this as well for the second version. You can see 3,300. And if you don't have any Aeos energy, like you can see right here, we are stuck on a stage. Like we can't progress. But you can still use, if you have no Aeos energy, to fill into this. You can still do a very quick Unite move as well for like 2,400 damage. You can see right here. Also quite nice. So it has multiple stages you want to go into. Again, second stage, 3,300. And then the final stage, which again, it costs a lot of Aeos energy. You can see it costs 30 Aeos energy to go into this final stage for this 4,400 damage. So again, Aeos energy is going to be super important and very, very important for you to keep track of. And even just a quick one like this. And if you want to go for a quick Unite move just like this, you know, you just have to always go towards the first thing. But for some reason, if you're out of Aeos energy, it gets actually quite faster. So it's also quite nice. So if you don't have any Aeos energy, you can do the first slash a bit faster. But you can still do the first slash even without Aeos energy. So you don't necessarily have to one just to do damage with it. And then on top of it, for some reason, also does extra bonus damage to people who just Unite moved. So you know when they have like that blue aura next to them, like here, where all people like shine blue after using Unite move because they have their stats from it. You know, some Pokemon get cooldown reduction and makes or like a shield, right? So there's a lot of different things Pokemon get. You do additional damage to those targets as well. And you can also eject button during the Unite move, like this right here. I also have something I have to talk about still. You can't actually aim ZACIAN Unite. You can see you can Unite move, eject button during Unite move. You cannot aim the Unite move, it auto aims. So it always auto aims towards the closest target that the game thinks is important, right? So you can see right here, there's a target dummy versus white Pokemon. It's gonna snap over to the white Pokemon. You cannot aim it. It's very awkward. So when you go like for a Ray or like Rayquaza or something for a last hit, you kind of have to be very, very careful and on how you do it because again, it auto aim. You can't aim it. Left joystick doesn't work with it. Like you literally cannot aim it. It auto aims, snaps towards a target, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can see right here. Even if I stand like, you know, let's say I turn my back towards the target dummy, it just turns around on its own and it's gonna auto lock towards this target. Right here you can see how much damage ZACIAN Unite can truly do. Again, this is also because Cinder Age just Unite moved. You can see it wasn't even fully charged. Like I wasn't even fully charged, as you can see right here. I was at my almost last stage. But Cinder Ace had Unite move up, or just use Unite move, so I do bonus damage as well. You can see this is 3,600 damage, and the Cinder Ace just completely disappears. And as I mentioned, it's a very good objective secure, so in this scenario right here, I just ran around my... You have to see how I position myself, right? This is exactly the awkward thing. Like, I can't aim it towards Rayquaza. It's just going to auto-aim in some direction. There's nothing I can do about it, unless no one is really around. So I have to like walk awkwardly towards this behind, but you can see the damage I do to Ray right here. It's a great lasted objective or lasted tool for objectives. And now quickly before we talk about combos on ZACIAN, first for the upgrade, Sacred Sword now, the stun comes out faster on both versions as well. So the stun right here you can see is almost instant. And this is a huge power spike for ZACIAN, just allows you to just take down opponents insanely fast. Look again. It's almost instant. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then for level 13, we get Play Rough or Agility Plus. Agility Plus gives us even more move speed, and Play Rough increases our stun duration. Now let's talk about some combos. The very basic one is just Agility Forward. You press your passive, you do double Sacred Sword while basic attacking. Very, very straightforward, right? Again, this is something that's usually be done. Agility Forward, double Sacred Sword, basic attacking. You can also do or get more distance even with the eject button, or even keep your agility if you want to. Right, so you do like agility, eject button, passive, double Sacred Sword onto the enemies for a lot of damage. These are the basic ones. Again, you can also just do empowered version, press empowered one, go in, double Sacred Sword, and just start basic attacking. And then there's the one that's a bit more advanced that a lot of people have been doing a lot, especially Ace and ZACIANs. I've only been learned about this recently as well, which is you build up a boost auto attack. Again, the fourth one dashes, right? So you have 3 ones right now. Use agility that increase the duration, passive increase duration, and then you jump onto your opponents and you get a Sacred Sword out and you gained a lot of distance. Going a bit faster now. So this, agility, passive, jump, double Sacred Sword. And this one is going to be a combo you should be using a lot. Now some clips of what this looks like in action. So right here you can see how much distance we can actually gain with this. So I'm just in the bush, building up my boosted auto attack, waiting for someone to be close. I'm going to use my agility, use my passive, and we jump in and we take someone down. And then we do the same thing exactly again. Go into bush, build up our boost auto attack, agility forward, into the passive, even eject button. And you can see how much distance we just gained in this fight. Right, again, agility. Then I press my passive to increase the duration again. And then eject button forward into the boost auto attack. We take down this Gardevoir. And then something like even this can happen, right? If the enemy dashes away, you follow them. So like in this scenario, I'm building it up. Again, agility forward, we press our passive, and I just follow the Zora after he used his voice switch. So can be quite nice for this as well. In case someone is dashing away, you will be following this dash if you just basic attacked right before. And then of course you can also just build up your thing a bit more and just start basic attacking and also do agilities back and forth with your empowered version. But besides that, again, I mean, it doesn't really look that difficult, right? It looks pretty straightforward. Maybe this dash right here is a bit more something that you have to be careful of. In this scenario right here, sometimes when you see a move and you press passive at the same time, you will see it will not happen. So you have to be very careful. So if I agility and press passive at the same time, the passive will not be happening. So you gotta be very careful with this, that you do agility first and then you press after you have landed to make sure that you get your boosted version out as well. Say for Sacred Sword, if you use Sacred Sword and press the passive at the same time, the passive will not be happening. So you have to press Sacred Sword, passive, afterwards, and then Sacred Sword again. That's why usually as well you kind of start with the empowered Sacred Sword first, right? You do powered Sacred Sword, and then you just do both Sacred Swords after another to make sure you get both out. Again, gotta be very careful. You can see if I do this, my passive will not be happening. And before we jump into some more gameplay, like a 10-minute game, I want to showcase one more thing. ZACIAN is insane at doing Rayquaza alone. It's probably the best Pokemon for it. It has insane damage with that boost auto attack as well. You can see right here, if the enemies have 3 or 2 dead, you can just go for Ray. I'm going to boost up my boost auto attack right here to the second stage, because again, max HP damage goes through Ray like butter, right? Has a lot of HP. It is kept against these Pokemon, but still has a lot of damage. We get it low, and then we use our Unite move and easily get Ray. So it's always something you can keep in mind for you to do. Just going for Ray alone, you can see, I mean, I'm going to start it at 115 right here, do a double Sacred Sword, just start basic attacking a lot, and then use our Unite move to finish it off with that last stage. And you can see it barely, like, it's such a joke. It barely took 10 seconds for us to take this one down. And then we have also one of the best CQs in the entire game. So yeah, flipping Rayquaza on spawn is kind of cringe, but if the enemies have 3 or 4 down, just straight up go for it. You will win a lot of games this way. Let's head into some gameplay. To explain even further, this game I was sent to area. Again, you can also play this on top and bot path. It's gotta be very aggressive early game and use your high attack damage to just straight up win or just KO enemy Pokemon quite easily. Our first gang is very strong, so I mean it's a very strong center area Pokemon because you get Sacred Sword so early. I see the enemy team on bot path overextending, so I'm straight up heading over towards bot path. Looking for a stop right here. I'm gonna wait for my quick attack to come back up. I'm gonna dash forward one time, and then I'm gonna empower my boost auto attack and my Sacred Sword. And then we go eject button forward. It's a classic eject button. That's why eject button is a way to go as well, just because you can eject button forward, use that double Sacred Sword on someone, especially on the ones that have no mobility. Do the same thing here again. And this is just ridiculous, right? Like, this is so ridiculous, this early game of this Pokemon. That I can actually win this right now. Actually, the quick attack gets blocked by the Pupitar, but we do a quick double Sacred Sword with our passive, keep basic attacking as well, and we just take him down and slice him into pieces. Because we also have more attack damage from all these things we do. Yeah, take some Attack Rate here for some lifesteal. We don't go down to these because we can heal on our basic attacks, of course, as well. We're gonna head one berry, head back to our jungle. You can skip this part because it's just jungle clearing. But in general, you don't want to use your Sacred Sword, your empowered version of the Sacred Sword with your passive on white Pokemon, except for Altaria, because you need those Eos energy, right? You need these Eos energy. Very important to keep this up at a high number before you go into fights. But now we go for the middle one, which spawns in 10 seconds. First, I'm going to check these bushes to see if someone face checks, take another Bite Toy. And we're going to activate this, use our Sacred Sword, and we're going to obliterate these Altaria in literally just a matter of a second. You can see right here, the Pupitar as well is going in. I'm going to just agility him, basic attacking my Flip Buff up right now. I'm going to follow him quite easily. This time I just use an agility. In these scenarios, it's totally fine to just use an agility, right? Like a reset one, because currently on cooldown. So using this for my agility to catch up to him and reapply my rep buff is totally fine as well. So again, empowered agility is also very strong. Just another dash right here. I'm building up a boost auto attack. And here I thought, so my game plan was here that I'm going to jump onto the Leafeon, which is going for the berry. Didn't do it. So I look a bit weird right now, but that was the, you know, my thought process. I was eject buttoning towards him, and then I wanted to use my, you know, my 4th boosted auto attack to jump onto the Leafeon and take him down, but he decided to stay on the goal and not run towards the berry. So in the end, I looked like I just messed up. But in the end, they went down anyways, doesn't matter what. Taking jungle rotation very fast right here. I'm going to take my red buff and then I'm going to head straight back towards bot path. Here, I'm just like trying to hurry up. So I do a empowered Sacred Sword onto it. I kind of call it boosted or empowered, doesn't really matter. Here, I'm just trying to chase down this guy. I use just a, you know, if my agility is on cooldown or something, we can just use the empowered version pretty fast because I use my agility right here. So now it's on a high cooldown, right? 8 seconds. And we can just use passive agility and catch up quite easily. And always do this as well. Again, another way of using it in these chase scenarios. And now we can start maybe going for this Reggie. First, we're going to slice down this Slowbro right here. I'm already looking for the Leafeon though, but again, Leafeon just doesn't want to play the way I want to play it. Go back on the Slowbro. He was dead, doesn't matter what, so I just was looking for the Leafeon because that person actually matters the most right now in this fight. Here we bait up our boost auto attack to the 4th one. We fail our... I think I failed up charging up my boost auto attack there, my boosted version, my passive, so looks a bit weird, and now we're just going to go for this Red Ice, and we do it very fast. Keeping up some points right here, and we're going to just charge up our Unite move and then slash it. Sadly, it actually lived on pretty much 1 auto attack, but we still get to do a lot of damage to it. And could have maybe waited a bit longer. That's the only problem. Like, if your teammates stop hitting the objective while you're charging something up, it can be quite awkward. And again, also, another thing I didn't mention is that ZACIAN actually drops more Eos energy after getting KOs as well. So, enemies drop more Eos energy when they go down. So, another thing that I didn't mention. I hope I didn't miss anything besides that. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments. There's a lot that has to be covered when it comes to ZACIAN, as you might have noticed. So, he's just building up a boost auto attack and just doing the Atara fast. Gonna try to build up my Eos energy. Scoring on ZACIAN can feel very awkward, right? Like, often you actually don't want to score, especially in late game. You actually don't want to go for a score. Make sure you keep your Eos energy, because it's so much more important for team fights, for your Unite move, for your double Sacred Swords, for double agilities to actually have it up. Go agility forward right here. And again, another empowered agility instead, because we want to chase, but I actually have to disengage from this fight. Using my Sacred Sword in the bush. Gonna charge up a Unite move, but I let it time out so I don't lose the cooldown on it too much. Goes back to 70%. Couldn't actually take down the Snace there. He was a bit too fast. I mean, now it's very hard for me to fight, because again, I have no Eos energy, only 6, but you need 8. So I'm still looking for a boost auto attack right here, and this one is another story where I just build up my boost auto attack, and then I'm able to dash onto the Gardevoir quite easily and close the distance right here, building it up. You can see currently at 3. Then agility forward, which refreshes the boost auto attack duration. And then we agility forward, we jump onto, we get this dash onto the Gardevoir, and we can easily hit a Sacred Sword on this Gardevoir as well and take him down. And over this KO, we're also going to get some more Eos energy back, hopefully another agility, basic attack, get all this Eos energy on the ground. And we always look for these to pick up. Always, again, very important. I want to keep saying this all the time. Better boost auto attack again. Also, you actually cannot activate the passive on golds, which I will actually edit back into the guide as well. Gonna 2-3 more adjustments, but just again as well. If you dive onto a goal, you cannot activate your passive because you will start scoring, of course. Here I actually got double snapback. You have to also be very careful. This is actually hilarious. I got double snapback right here on my agility. So I wanted to agility back in, but I snap back, so I go this way. I wanted to agility in and then to do a double Sacred Sword instead. And now I try to do it again, and we snap back a second time. So I actually can't believe this, man. I really snap back the second time. You can see I'm aiming towards here, and then it snapbacks towards this duration. But we still just kill the Gardevoir anyways. He has no chance. Sacred Sword. We have so much damage right now. We just take him down completely. And dashing away from the Leafeon right here. A double dash. This is also very nice. You can see how much distance I gain right there. And here also I'm activating my Unite move because it gives us a shield. So a lot of things right here. So we agility away first. I'm going to press my passive into agility instantly again. Gain a bit more distance. My shield's going to disappear right here. But then I do a quick Unite move as well. A quick Unite move right here. And then we gain a shield after, you know, it's after actually canceling as well. And then we just run away. So another way to use the Unite move. You can also just use the Unite move for the shield or for the Unstoppable. Also quite nice for you to do. So a lot of things you can do with that Unite move as well. Here I have no Eos energy. Otherwise I would go in with an empowered agility. If I had 8 points right here, I would just activate agility and look for a Sacred Sword. And if not, I can agility back out again. So yeah, but again, no coins. You can see the coin struggle. It's probably one of the hardest things to deal with when you first time play ZACIAN, to make sure you have those Eos energy always bid up. Looking for the fight right here now, bidding up the boost auto attack again, looking for God of War, jumping forward with that boost auto attack. And now we just take down the Tyranitar again. I know the hilarious one shot on the Cinder Ace happens. Cinder Ace walks in with that Unite move. I charge it up in the bush and slice down. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Also, ZACIAN really just likes to stay in tall grass and, you know, just able to make people face shake. As soon as someone face shakes into a bush, you just have a double Sacred Sword ready. They get stunned as soon as they walk in, and you just auto take them down quite easily. Also, something you can do and you should be doing. So always when, you know, an objective is up, just go into a tall grass, make enemies walk into it, and just one-shot an entire team. Like double Sacred Sword into Unite move can be super strong, and something you should also be doing. Now we have 14, looking for 15 in this game. I'm just going bot right here, looking for some Ataria maybe, but my team is fighting top, so I'm going to use my agility to actually go back to the double buffs. I could maybe go for top lane right here, but this fight's kind of pointless. Nothing is really there to be gained, so instead I'm just going to try to get my 15, but now we're looking for the fight. Bidding up a boost auto attack, and I'm not going to get it onto anyone here right now, though. Again, I don't want to overextend too much right now, so I'm going to use just an empowered agility to go back in. This is perfect right now. Slowbro Unite moves me, which means that in the last team fight I can do whatever I want now. Huge mistake by the Slowbro. We go back in as well again. We collect all this Eos energy as well on the ground that we can find. Also, when you play with the ZACIAN, just make sure you don't pick up the Eos energy. Make sure the ZACIAN is able to sometimes pick it up, unless, of course, you want to go for a score. And of course, you can pick it up. Besides that, you should let it over, you know, for ZACIAN. And now we head towards the right side, bidding up the boost auto attack again, agility forward into the dash. And I think this time I kind of messed up my passive. Again, when you use your moves, your passive doesn't activate, right? When you're in your boost auto attack animation, in your Sacred Sword animation after agility, you can't activate your passive. And that's also a good learning lesson for me there, to make sure that I pay more attention to when I use the move, that I can't charge up my passive in that scenario. Again, bidding up a boost auto attack. I'm agility into this bush to face check. No one is in here, so we bid up our boosted auto attack again 3 times. Currently, everything's on cooldown though, so we don't want to be the first one to jump in necessarily. But I want to use the trigger as well, and now I'm going to use the trigger onto this Blastoise Unite move. We take down the Slowbro, jump on him, back into the bush. Build up the boost auto attack, HG forward, into the eject button. That's the clip I showed earlier as well, where we gain so much distance onto the God of War that we're able to take it down quite easily. Bidding up boost auto attack again, I'm just going to take the blue buff right here. We still have to do something. I still have Unite move up, so we kind of still have to go for a Rayquaza. I didn't quite see where the enemies are, now I saw them. Bidding up a boost auto attack again, and then we still have to go for something as well. I'm going to dash in, do a double Sacred Sword right here onto the Tyranitar, take him down. Gotta be careful with Slowbro and Leafeon, of course, though. I'm just waiting for my team to kind of come back into this fight. Here I use an empowered agility for the shield just to live. We take down the Leafeon with our insane boost auto attack damage as well. And now we look around again. I'm just going to start up Ray right here. I'm going to start healing, do double Sacred Sword, and start using my basic attacks to heal up. And at this point, I have to use 1 onto agility though, so I empower maybe into agility, but I just do the Sacred Sword, and I just rip through Rayquaza like it's butter. You can see, as soon as the opponents down notice you go for Ray, it's pretty much already down as well, right? This was very confident for me to take down this Ray. I should have maybe used an empowered agility though for the shield, but I guess I was confident in this moment that I don't go down, and we're going to take the win quite easily right here in this ZACIAN game. Hope you guys enjoyed this guide. We ended with a good amount of KOs. This, I think, was a good showcase of what ZACIAN can do. 19 KOs. And hope you guys enjoyed this guide. Check out my other Ultimate guides, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!